Hi guys, welcome back to At Home with Holly. My name's Holly. I'm so glad that you're here with me today. Please ignore the humidity here. We are in my garage and today we're about 2 weeks late actually. We have all these shallots that have dried and they need cleaned up. You can braid them, you can store them in a crate, you can do all kinds of stuff. I've done both things in past years. I think this year I'm just gonna clean them up, trim up the tops and store them in wooden crates that I have here below. I also have all of our garlic that's been drying. Again, with the soft neck garlic, you could braid them. Hard neck, you can braid, but it's a little trickier. I've done that in years past. Honestly, I'm not gonna do that this year. What I'm gonna do is clean them up, trim them up, put them in a bin, and when it is time to replant garlic in October, I will choose all the biggest cloves and replant those, and all the smaller ones I will process into something else. So no need to braid them because they only need to store for, what is that, August, September, October, 90, maybe 120 days. So we're going to process the garlic, and then any of I have some onions that were done early because they flopped over. Any of those that are ready, I'm going to separate the whites and the reds. And then I'm going to have one extra bin that's for everything that's either been pierced or stabbed or is not going to store as well, meaning the garlic didn't get enough. It was in the ground too long and it started to open back up again or stuff like that. So I've got my bins set up. So shallots, garlic, white onions, red onions, things that need to be used up quickly. And we're just going to go ahead and get started processing. Sorry for the noise from the fan, but it's a million degrees. So I wanted to make sure there was some airflow for sure. So you can see I'm just cutting it off the stalk. I am cutting the roots off, and then I'm just brushing off the extra dirt. And then I'm gonna put it on top of this little mesh screen tray thing that I have, just so that as I'm doing this, there's a place for all the dirt to kind of collect and fall through. And then I'm gonna take the big pile of them and put them in the crates and separate them into their appropriate boxes of ones that I need to use up right away, or ones that are big and whole and are going to be promising candidates for planting as seed garlic in the fall. I do grow a lot of garlic for one child, one adult household, but I do gift a lot of products away, and also I do cook with a lot of garlic. So the garlic I'm going to preserve lots of ways. Sometimes I just peel it and I leave it frozen whole cloves in the freezer bag ready to use, and I do that when I'm making pickles, or if I need them roasted for tomatillos, salsa, or salsa verde, or stuff like that. Sometimes I pulse them up and I make little pucks out of them. Sometimes I also make confit garlic, where I slow simmer it in my favorite cooking oil, which is avocado oil, and then you get the two products of the roasted garlic and the garlic flavored olive oils. There's just tons of different ways to use garlic, and when a recipe calls for one, I just think that's not right. So I use like 4 or 5. So we do go through a lot of garlic. So I am going to make sure all this garlic gets used up, and whatever, and basically everything that doesn't get used for seed garlic in the fall that I can plant again, I'm going to be preserving. I also am going to go ahead and sort through these shallots. Now, I love shallots. I use them. You can use them anytime a recipe calls for onions. They do have a milder, sweeter flavor, I think. And the really nice thing is they store for up to a year. And so you can plant them from actual little seeds, grow the bulbs, dry them off, and then plant the bulbs in the fall, or you can just purchase seed bulbs to plant in the fall as well. So I have the shallots, and then I move all of the onions that have already fallen over, so they've been harvested, over to one side to keep them organized. Still have humidity here, a little dirty, but let's take a look at what we got done. We put all of the Patterson onions over here, the Zabroon shallots, which are the new kind that we were growing, or newer kind, the banana style. And we still have room for all of the red wing onions as they are ready. And then down here, we have 3 bins. These are the ones that need used up first because they were either soft or they were over ready. And so they're just not gonna store for as long. So those are the ones that we'll use up first. These are all our shallots that are gonna go into storage. They'll last for up to a year, or we can plant more of them in the fall. And then these are the ones we're saving for seed garlic. So we have all the ones that the heads were undamaged or perfectly ripe. We have the elephant garlic that is perfectly ripe, and then we have Pat's garlic from my friend Ben. We have the garlic, the seed garlic that's all mixed together, the elephant garlic, the Pat garlic. We have all of our potatoes, our shallots, all in the darkest, coldest room in my house. So this is where they're gonna live until they are eaten or planted. And then while I was down here, I filled up two 72 cell trays for our next project. Okay, so it is gross and humid, but I'm underneath the umbrella, so not in the direct sun. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that we should do a fall planting of corn, and here are the two varieties that I chose. The first one is baby corn, because when I was little and we would go to like places that had salad bars, I just thought that baby corn was the coolest thing that ever happened. So I really want to grow some. So I got the seeds. We have 20 seeds in this pack. I said we plant all 20 and throw it in one of the beds. Plenty of time for that takes 30 to 35 days to maturity. So I think that's perfect. We're gonna do that one. And then I do have one variety of butter gold sweet corn, and this variety matures in 63 days. Now I have enough time to plant like a 75, 80 day variety, but since things mature a little slower in the fall because the sun's not quite as intense as it is right now, I'd just rather plant this one. So we're gonna do this one, and this, instead of direct seeding it, because we still have about another week on the sweet corn that's in there, I'm gonna go ahead and put it in a 72 cell, and then once it sprouts, we'll go ahead and plop it in the ground. So let's get these trays filled up. You can soak these seeds overnight, but the ground is so warm right now, and I'm gonna leave these trays outside, that they're gonna have no problem germinating. So you totally can soak these, but I'm not going to, and I'm gonna leave these trays outside. So let's get these planted. It was super duper hot, so I decided we were going to be done doing outdoor projects today. So on my way back to the inside, I did pick a few cherry tomatoes that were ripe. I took a look at the state of the garden, essentially, and there was another paste tomato that was ripe as well. I was just looking at the melons and looking at all the things that were growing so beautifully, and just kind of having a moment before I went inside to shower and get cleaned up. And this is when I was starting to look at the carrots that are in the middle of this tomato bed, and that's when I decided, yep, tomorrow is going to be carrot harvesting day. So we're going to be done for today and then come back out and harvest some carrots. I did pick some peppers though. My camera battery was dying, so I did turn it off, but I'm going to show you guys a little clip of the peppers. We are doing so well in the peppers. I love all the rainbow of peppers that we're having. So we have some spicy peppers, some sweet peppers. I'm constantly collecting, pickling cucumbers as well. So lots of goodies coming out of the garden. Well, it's another hot one, and I came out just to check on my way to feed the chickens. But none of these have been overturned last night or this morning by any birds or bunnies. So this is a success. Today we are going to be doing some carrot harvesting, planting our determinate tomatoes, and we'll see what else we can get into. So let's get started. First things first, I gotta give my chickens some treats. Otherwise, they will be very noisy the whole time we're out here. Good morning, girlies. It's gonna be a hot one. It's gonna be a hot one today. Got your fan. It's gonna be a hot one. These are the black soldier fly, and they love them. Extra protein. We've got one that molted at the wrong time. So this is helping her grow back her feathers. And the other ones, it's just keeping them strong and healthy. And we have one girl that's broody. She's been broody. This is her third time this year being broody, I feel like. That's only July. So that's fun. Anyways, let's get to the garden. Can you guys see that swallowtail? It's been laying eggs all over the parsley, which is exciting. Love that. I've got dill in 2 places, but it's really liking the parsley this year, so that's cool. So I need to remember to check the parsley before I harvest anything, for sure. Because it is doing some hard work. And those are the kind that Olivia likes to catch when they're caterpillars and raise them up and hatch them. So we'll definitely want to be supporting that mama. All right, so the supplies we have today: oyster shelter refill for the chickens, some Trifecta Plus for planting. I did grab some stump and vine killer because I've got one tree that we cut back 4 years ago that keeps trying to pop its head back up. So I've got some of that, and we'll just see what we can get into. Look at these birdhouse gourds. They're doing great. All right, coming over here to where we're going to be planting our determinate tomatoes. Now, I did actually have a few things that I need to transplant into that bed because I had, where's the first one? Okay, so there's a ground cherry. Can you see that? The ground cherry coming up right here. And so I want to put one of those in there. And then I've got a ground cherry coming up 2 other places. I hope it's a ground cherry. It's either ground cherry or tomatillo, but I think it's a ground cherry because those tend to self-seed, if you will. So inside here, there are some ground cherries in there as well. So I want to get those out, put into the determinate tomato bed, and get everybody planted. So I'm going to take out these first and then transplant them. Yep, ground cherries. Several ground cherries. These ground cherries, I did not plant them this year. I grew ground cherries last year and I love them. But I did not grow any this year. So that means these are all volunteers. They came up voluntarily, which means I either dropped some ground cherries and forgot to bring them inside and they planted themselves, or maybe a bird planted the seeds by just transferring it around. I'm not really sure, but either way, volunteers are always stronger, healthier plants, and I hadn't planted any this year, so I was happy to have them, especially since some of my determinate tomatoes didn't germinate, or they germinated and I overwatered them and they died. So I had some spots to fill for my fall tomatoes. So that was an awesome surprise to find them. Plus I had this lovely cabbage that I had almost forgotten about. So we went ahead and got that all harvested, pulled the weeds, got it all covered up, and fed the weeds to the chickens. The chickens are gonna love this. So I'm excited for them. Let's see if the baby chicks like some. They probably won't know what to do with it, but we'll give them some. That'll give them something fun to play with. Okay, so first, let's get these guys in. Okay, so I have 4 San Marzano, 1 banana legs, and 1 granadero. So the San Marzanos are semi-indeterminate, meaning you can grow them as an indeterminate, like and stake them all the way up. This particular variety that I got. Last year when I did that to them, they got about 3 feet and that was it. So this year I'm gonna, as an experiment, just see what happens and kind of grow them like a determinate. Just put them in a cage and see what happens. So yeah, so I'm gonna do the San Marzano, four of them on that side, plus the banana leg, and then I'll do the granadero on this side. So banana legs on that, or you know what, maybe I'll do banana legs over here. We'll do all the yellow ones over here and the red ones over there. So get this. Oops. I'm pretty sure this is the biggest carrot I've ever grown. Pretty great. All right, let's get the tops off and get them washed. So carrots, obviously being a root crop grown in the ground, are pretty dirty. So I tend to wash them a lot of times. So outside I give them at least 2 scrub offs. The first one takes off most of the big clumps of dirt. Then I give them another scrub and kind of pull off all the little roots that are attached to them. And then I give them one final rinse outside, and then I will take them inside and wash them really well and scrub them out. And then I will put them in the container to be stored in my fridge for several weeks. So I want to thank you guys so much for all the likes and the comments and the shares. Thank you guys for coming along with me while we have this journey. And I just really appreciate you guys so much. So if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. Can't wait to see you guys next time. Bye, my friend.